Hi and welcome back to the Ruby Tuesday. My name's Ruben and this is my review slash breakdown talking about with minor spoilers in the third episode of season 2 of Alchemy of Souls. So if you don't want any spoilers, jump away now. But this is really episodic kind of recap, weekly Saturdays and Sundays, talking about each episode as they drop. Let me know in the comments below what you think is going on, which were your favorite bits. Let's jump in. So this episode really starts off where we left at the end with the marriage kind of trying to be proven or disproven. That was an interesting moment as we're wondering if there's going to be some fight sequence. We really don't get a massive fight sequence except for that kind of one sword movement. Really, it's all about the lantern, whether she can switch it on and switch it off, and that will prove whether there is that power in her at all and whether he will take her with her back. Bayun doesn't want to go back to her mom and she needs to have a story that will stop the unanimous assembly from saying no, we're not going to allow this, and that could have ended up in a massive fight, but she brings out the baby story, which obviously takes back Ook by surprise, but it's the thing that basically helps them end up back at the place of, well, we're married again, and they leave the assembly, and that's where things start to unravel, because we still have the Naksu storyline with her soul kind of stuck in there somewhere, but it is Bayung's body and her soul as well, and people are trying to figure out how could he actually marry her when he was so in love. I find the lantern story a little bit annoying because we have a lot of these series, especially in dramas like this, where a character has to learn something in order to reveal something. It's almost like really stretching out those, those 80s movies where they do montages, and this could be a mechanic that they use for a number of episodes. Instead, this one, it's the lantern, and the more she is able to control her power and switch it on and off, the more memories will come back. And that's something I feel like they're going to be stringing us along until the 10th episode, until it all comes back, because it's part of the mechanic of the storytelling to keep the mystery at bay, even though we know the mystery but our characters don't. Guanju continues to be the guy with the villain beard, and he proves how much of a villain he is, pulling things around the background, manipulating people to get what he needs. We see that with the lady that is controlling the underground and the parasites he's put within her as to control her so that he can maneuver the underground without having to have any dealings with the underground. In the underground, we can see in many threads where there's powder that the queen is using to manipulate her maidservants so that they don't look as young and pretty, because she wants to be in a different soul body and she didn't get the body that she wants. So that is another arc with I would class her as a villain and the people around her as villains, not so much as Beardy McBeardy Guanju, but definitely a villain in the story. I think the character I like most is maidservant Kim. She's always there in the background trying to help people, make them do the right things, especially knowing his past and the hurt he's gone through in the last 3 years. Seeing the new marriage, she has taken Bayun under her wing sort of, and trying to get them to really work on their marriage, have a conversation for once, because all of these issues could be sorted out with just a plain bit of information. But mysteries like this or dramas like this don't work like that. You have to not have the characters talk to each other in order for series to work like that, and that's what they've done here. But maidservant Kim now has the ability to get married, or is encouraged to, and seeing her relationship blossom with the former general of the army, and seeing him trying to cook as one of the most hilarious levity things that's in the series, especially this time when he's cooking noodles. That I thought was a great bit, but also had a bit of heart considering what the noodles meant and which character Naksu was having beforehand. We can kind of guess where episode 4 is going to go, with Naksu's soul being summoned, probably going to be in Bayun's body, and that is going to cause all sorts of aggrievements and emotions to well up, especially with the end with the two halves of the stone, the red and blue stone, and you can see the anger very, very much so just as we end that episode with the clenched fists. I like this episode. It was very story driven, not a lot of action, but they were definitely kind of mapping things to what's to come. It feels like to me now there's a pattern, kind of driving story in one episode and then kind of doing a more story arc with a bit of action in the following episode, and doing that for each episode. I do hope that we get to see some choreographed action sequences soon with the magics that they use, because when we see those, it's always a lot of fun and they're always great to look at. The costumes again were fantastic. The sets are still great. The score is still fun, but it was very much drama llama. It's definitely sitting in that zone now of this is a soap, but in period piece soap. So let me know what you thought. Are you starting to like the characters more? Are you still missing Naksu, the original actress? I think this is a new young actress is coming into her character, but I think it's understandable that you don't quite know where to fit or how to place your emotions on this new character, because she isn't that character, although she looks very similar, like, or at least the actors characters inside this series think that. So when there is going to be the big reveal as to who she is, I do wonder how they're going to show that. Let me know your thoughts on episode 3 season 2. What was your favorite moment? Which moment did you like the most? I like the bit in the underground dodgy place where Bayun had to hold her breath, and then she met one of the bachelors who's ill, and she's looking at his aura and she's talking about everybody's aura, and then she doesn't kind of mention what's going on with him, which reveals a bit of kind of character trait that he is actually more ill than we think he is. We know he's ill, but how ill is he if his aura is portraying something dark, and so much so that she didn't want to talk about that. A good moment, I thought. A great bit of storytelling without having to say it. Let me know your thoughts and feelings. Thanks so much for watching, but most of all, until next time, remember, live long Tuesday.